remote areas, just having roadways available or transmission lines available. All of this infrastructure we haven't needed for so long because we've been able to operate as a small state where all 500 people knew each other for that second callback of the day. Those are the things that we need to be prepared to do going forward. You're talking specifically about the grid, but we can't have a conversation about resources without having a conversation about water and what the needs are going forward for the economic development here in the state as well. So those are all critical parts of, I think, where Nevada needs to be thinking from an infrastructure standpoint.
Well, let's move to sustainability considerations, and I'll ask you both to address this question around the contribution to our environment and sustainability from battery factories or the battery industry in particular. So what are the benefits, and then maybe what are some of the challenges that we face?
Again, the benefits most definitely, again, is putting Nevadans to work, strengthening our economy, and again, to help us close the lithium loop here, as well as just our energy loop. I think Nevada is well positioned to be to energy what Silicon Valley was to IT. We have this prime location. We have the resources here to complete the complete life cycle of the battery, from the mining to the manufacturing to the recycling with companies like Redwood up north. Those are the benefits. On the contrary side, again, it's just the requirements of building out that infrastructure, that grid infrastructure. There's a cost that's associated with that, and that's something that we have to focus on as we build out the need to increase our infrastructure, the cost that's associated with it.
So what are your thoughts, Galen?
The benefits of sustainability, we've been watching this industry. All of us here have been watching the growth of lithium batteries, lithium-ion batteries over the last decade and a half, as well as all of the other types of sustainable energy for longer than that. And I think in the back of our minds, we've been watching for sort of market signs that this is really going to take, right? Is this something that is really going to land going forward? Is this energy transition going to happen, or is it being driven by federal resources that are temporary in nature and those sorts of things? And I think some of the things that we're seeing are, and Mr. Threlkeld talked about this earlier today, GM's investment in Lithium Americas, which was, I think, $600 million, and I think in 2 checks, right? It's that came over to support, to purchase the offtake from the lithium mine in northern Nevada. And so we're seeing the investment follow the idea more and more. And I think what that's doing is it's helping us realize that this energy transition is not just something that we believe culturally should happen, but the market's supporting it as well, and it's pushing that way. And you see organizations like the Las Vegas Golden Knights who are standing up and making it a key part of their brand and a key part of their organization. And I think all of those things are going to benefit. And I don't want to be sappy about this, but I have 3 little kids, and I want them to inherit a world that is cleaner and better and brighter than what we may have left them without this energy transition. And so I think those are the clear benefits, and I think it's happening. And like I said, you're seeing companies in America or companies in the North America that are making really significant investments in making sure this happens. And that's just on the corporate side. You have entrepreneurs, some of whom are in the room right here, who are building this industry from the ground up as well.
What about challenges? This is an opportunity to be candid about hurdles, because where there are opportunities, there are always challenges.
So I think I think the big question we come back to is, where's the energy come from that sustains the, I think about batteries. So where does the energy come from that sustains that over the long run? And do we have the grid to support that now? And how do we grow our individual grids or the grid to make sure it can support that. I think we've been operating under pretty consistent messaging from the federal administration, the Biden administration that aligns with the Lombardo administration here at the state level, that says this is a key, that we need to support this energy transition going forward. And I don't know that we have that clarity on what the next decade looks like going forward. So if there are significant changes to policy, that creates uncertainty. I think that's a challenge. And I think in the industry, we talk about we've ceded this market to global competitors for the last decades, and we need to get caught up on that. Those are the challenges that come to mind for me right now.
Yeah, indeed, and I'm going to come back to this issue of global competitiveness, but let's turn to supply chain. We're talking about entrepreneurs. You know, there's lots of layers and dimensions to this conversation, but supply chain transparency in the battery industry. Maybe we can talk about the economic implications.
I think it's important for supply chains to be transparent. We want to know where your material's coming from, you know, the life cycle of the material. You know, if we're going to be sustainable and be clean, let's be just that. Let's be sustainable and be clean. Again, it's just the transparency part of it all. You know, from your labor, from your materials, where's it all coming from? So I think that's the implications as I see it. You know, you don't want to say that you're clean or you've been clean in your production, or you clean in what you're doing and you're pushing sustainability. But when you look at the complete life cycle, it is not as clean as you're claiming it to be. Again, from even your labor source. Are you paying your laborers, you know, the right wages? Your materials, are they clean materials? And where are your materials coming from? So again, I think that's the implication as far as just being transparent and in the process as a whole.
Okay, fair enough. Any other thoughts?
I think that's one of the competitive advantages that we see, one of the competitive advantages in Nevada that drove us to form the Nevada Battery Coalition. So the Governor's Office of Economic Development, we heard from Director Burns earlier today, has identified 7 stages of the lithium supply chain, from exploration and extraction on the front end to recycling all the way downstream. And Nevada is the only state in the nation that has companies in each one of those 7 stages of the supply chain. So we represent this ideal that the federal administration has said by bringing this supply chain home. Nevada is the only state in the nation that actually leads there in that space. And that gives us the opportunity to bring together partners from across the supply chain and help support agreements between different organizations, or help with. They're all very entrepreneurial, right? This is a very startup market for a lot of these companies, and so they can be they can protect their IP, of course, but also how they do things in particular. And so this gives us, having a complete supply chain here in Nevada, helps us not only to understand how we can benefit one another, not only from the supply chain standpoint, but from the policy standpoint, but also where we're weak, right? Cathode manufacturing is something that comes up all the time in our discussions. It's something we need more of in Nevada. So how do we do that? How do we work with Director McClinton's office or Director Burns' office or local partners throughout the state to help that economic development happen? So that's really, I think, a critical part of why the Battery Coalition exists, particularly here in Nevada.
When we think about global competitiveness, Nevada is a relatively small state by population, pretty significant by proximity, given our proximity to California and Arizona. But from a regional standpoint, or even beyond that, to countries that may host battery factories, what role can Nevada play? Is there a leadership opportunity? Are we forward-thinking enough? Are we well-positioned geographically? What role can Nevada play in America's ability to actually compete with China, as an example, when it comes to battery manufacturing?
I'll take that. I don't know if you
go for it.
Okay. I think, again, back to having all companies in all 7 stages has allowed us, through the governor's office, we work closely with Governor Lombardo, and this is something that he's been very clear about, that he wants, you heard Director Burns talk about it, you've heard Director McClellan talk about it, it's something that he wants Nevada to lead in going forward. I learned this phrase as we were going through this process of not just onshoring these, but friendshoring. I've never heard of this before. The idea of friendshoring relationships with, what we met with companies in Canada, companies in South Korea, and others, to say, this is what we can do here in Nevada. These are our limitations, but these are our strengths. And have those conversations so that we can fill in the supply chain. And if the companies don't want to move here, which we would prefer they did, then at least we could create arrangements and help companies negotiate deals with countries that are friendly to the United States. We've worked with the State Department and others. And Nevada truly is seen as a national leader in this space because, again, we represent so much of the market. We represent over half the workforce for sustainable energy in the United States right now. It's really I think back to the director's comment earlier, this is a huge opportunity because Nevada has been leading, thanks to industry, because industry has taken the lead.
So the opportunity clearly outweighs any challenges that you already have on your radar screen, and we are well positioned to move forward as a state in this space. That's really encouraging, which is why we're spending so much time on this topic. Once again, an opportunity for us to distinguish ourselves. Well, thinking about the future outlook, a lot of conversation today about sort of the next frontier, transportation electrification, and the policies and strategies that support that. What policies or any of the partnerships that may have been mentioned earlier today, what comes to mind in terms of how we take transportation electrification to the next step, given our potential for battery activity?
I think it's been said here today numerous times. When it comes to policy, it's about putting forth a policy that makes sense. And how you do that is bringing all the stakeholders together, having those conversations, just collaboration, partnerships. At the end of the day, I believe the overall goal is the same for everyone. It's just, we all have different ways of going by getting there. But I think if you have the right people in the room, and again, it's been said today, Nevadans, we do it well. We know how to reach out to each other, have those conversations to get things accomplished. And that what makes, as was said earlier today, I have to use the term now too, that what makes Nevada sexy, is that we're able to do that. I've worked with multiple people in this room on many different occasions and different roles, and again, it's just a matter of a phone call. So I think the important thing to get things accomplished, and from a policy standpoint, again, is having those conversations. Talking, at the state level, federal level, a local level, we're all accessible. And again, is to put the politics of it to a side and focus on the policy, and we can get it all accomplished.
Fair enough.
I would just agree with that. I think Nevada is a special place because it is a small town at the end of the day, and you can reach a lot of people, and there are a lot of opportunities to collaborate. And the opportunities here, I think we can do some things to hamper this opportunity in our state, and we've got to work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, I've come to the end of my questions, so I think it's time to turn to the audience. You all have been so fabulous today, very attentive and focused, but you came here for a reason. And if you have some questions, I'd like to invite you to ask those questions. We still have a number of our panelists in the room, so if those questions go beyond Caleb and Director McClinton, feel free to raise them, because we're coming to the end of our summit, and I think it's really important that we engage with each other. Have I given you enough time for a question, Melissa?
My question's about water, in terms of this industry of energy infrastructure, particularly in mining and the battery factories. This may be an improper perception, just as a Nevadan, but I've been under the understanding that a lot of water is
if you don't
I'm
mind.
going to defer to you on this one.
How can you talk about resources, any sort of resources or economic development in Nevada and not talk about water, right? It's critical, and it's becoming more critical, and we know that Nevada, we heard the numbers earlier, Nevada leads in innovation for water usage and water conservation. So currently, there's massive demand for lithium, right? This ore, this mineral. It's all coming from processed through China right now. And except one mine in the United States, in Esmeralda County, Nevada, and that's the one mine that's doing that in the United States. And they're using it. They have a brine process where they actually pull it out of the water, and it is water intensive. And they're doing important, great work, and members of ours, and we support what they're doing. But it is water intensive, and that's the way that the mineral is stored there. The Ioneer facility, which is about an hour, I think, west of there, or the Thacker Pass, are clay deposits. So those are actually being pulled out of the ground, not out of water. So they're actually much like you would mine gold or other hard rock. It's just more of scooping than having to blast in hard rock. So the one side of it is we're finding new deposits that are much less water intensive, and then you have a technology solution as well, where you have companies that are working very, very hard on decreasing the amount of water used and the amount of lithium that's being pulled out. And so those are some of the things that are a part of the solution. And but you're right, DRI, Desert Research Institute, is doing a lot of really important work around this as well. But I'll shut up. Sorry, Rose.
No, please. I mean, this is why we're here. We need thorough answers to very challenging questions. So thank you for that. Any other questions? Yes.
Yes, thank you, panelists, all of you. This one is primarily for you, Director Clinton. I co-chair a task force called AAG, RE Plus, that's aimed at really helping to develop and champion workforce development opportunities for in the areas of renewable energy, specifically for wards 3 and 5, Councilman Creers and Diaz's. So as we talk about sustainability, this question is about equity and getting the message out to our communities. It's important to have, obviously, solar and solar for all. Will talked about making sure that we get that message to the communities. How do we hone the message so that the average, especially the low-income folks, know and understand that this opportunity is for them as well? And that goes to Marie as well with Envy Energy and some of the conservation programs. The average person who's thinking, where am I going to get the next meal, is probably not thinking, where am I going to get the next solar panel to my roof, right? So how do we hone that message to let people know that, this is for you as well?
No, great question, and thank you for that question. Again, it's been said here today many a times, collaborations and partnerships, but reaching out, partnering with UNLV, partnering with local organizations, the Latin Chamber, the Urban Chamber, the Las Vegas Chamber, and so forth, and, having those stakeholder meetings, those educational forums where we educate, the general public on what's going on and how to access these funds and take advantage of these opportunities. I know for the Governor's Office of Energy, I made it a point to make sure that we're transparent. I want to make sure that I answer your question before you ask your question. My website is current, up to date. If you want to know where we are at on any funding opportunities, you can go to our website right now to tell you what funding opportunities we are applying for, the status of those applications, and so forth, when you can expect for the rollout to come. And again, being transparent. But again, it's a collaboration effort, meeting with church leaders and community leaders, city council folks, and again, stakeholder meetings, and it's been informational, and knowledging and providing the knowledge to the community.
Any other questions? I've been given the 2-minute sign. Well, you've been excellent, and I think that you will agree that this panel gave us some important insights, so help me thank them. Let me note that at 3 o'clock, there will be a tour of the facilities, the site tour for the Lease Family Forum, and it will be led, I think, by Gabe Mirabelli. Gabe is the Chief Business Officer for Foley Entertainment Group Minor League Sports Properties. He's got quite a title. Is he in the room? Because maybe not yet. I see not yet. But he will be here. So the tour starts at 3. I want to thank you for attending, and I want to thank you for your tremendous contributions. I think this has been a very successful summit. And we'd like to express our thanks to our host and to our honored guests for their support and their participation, because being in the room, thank you, Mr. Hamilton, is an important place to be. Yes, that's right. We want to be in the room where it happens. And hopefully we were able to expand the focus on the need to continue to enhance our efforts here in Nevada to address the clean energy economy. So on behalf of Ceres, I'd like to encourage you to keep this conversation going. You are invited to network over some refreshments and small bites. And Kelly, is there anything else?
We'll have the drinks back here, but you are, after you're welcome to take them on the tour. Some of you stick around for that. The arena has made some really interesting sustainability investments, and the food and beverage team from Levy's also has a lot of good work to share with you if you're interested on the waste side of things as well. So hope you stick around for the tour, and please be comfortable with the drinks, and thank you.
Thank you. All right.